When I was a young man, I worked for a shop. We had a delivery driver. Uh, Worked for a company called Nautical Nuggets. They provided clams. But his name was George. I asked him one day what was his favorite way to eat clams. And he said fried cherry stones, or fried top necks. These are top necks. Top necks, and all clams are measured from this side to that side. This distance there, not this distance there. So I went home and tried it, and this is the way you cook them. I was gonna cook these last week. We had a blizzard here in New Jersey, and every place that I normally go to cook these meals was snowed in. So, cooking them in my studio today. Incidentally, the best way to keep clams is dry, completely dry. So I left these in a bag because I was kind of depressed that I couldn't cook them in the field, and I knew some were going to perish and not be eaten, such as that one there and this one here. What happened is when I left them in the bag, one at the top lost its moisture, lost its seal that it creates in the wild. It gets washed up on a sandbar in heavy seas, and then it has to survive the next tide without moisture. So what it does is it creates a seal, calcium seal around the valves to keep the moisture in. So then when it gets moist again, it figures it's back at a high tide. So it breaks that seal. Can't do it again, but it breaks that seal in order to extend the foot and burrow into the sand and do its thing. So if one clam at the top of the bag exudes liquid onto the clam below, one bad apple, they all tend to go bad. So the best way to keep these things in the fridge is dry. Put them in a colander, check them every day. And these, I actually took them out of the bag, dried them all off with towel, and then put them on towels, completely separate as you see them here. And I lost a couple. That one there is questionable. That's why you never cut above the bowl that you're loading the clam meat into. You always cut in a secondary container, so if you hit a bad one, none of that juice gets into into what you plan on eating. So one thing about the fried clams is that you want them, because you're going to be frying them in oil. Oil and water don't play well together, so you want them as dry as possible, which is why I'm not making any effort to preserve the liquid. In fact, we're going to lay these out on a paper towel before we get them into the breading. Just because a clam's valves are separated does not necessarily mean that they are inedible. This one here, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's probably inedible, but if you take the valves, the shells, and you press them together, if there's any reaction by the anterior and posterior adductor muscle, he's a good clam. As long as he smells all right when you give it that test. Yeah, how about it? I figured this was going to be a goner. As long as they're alive, they're edible. Yeah, how about it? This one here, I had them separated into two groups. One group that was like questionable, like that one that we just shucked, and this one. You see how it's wet on the bottom? It's because he's leaking the juices I was telling you about before. He's tightly shut. That's no guarantee that he's all right. So when you're shucking a clam, you put the knife between the valves, and there's no wrenching with this. There's a little bit of wiggle with this hand if you get a tough clam, but there's no pushing with this hand. All the effort is made here. You go in right there. There's the anterior adductor muscle, and then there's the posterior adductor muscle about here. So you cut the anterior, you slide the knife out, you go up the shell, so I'm getting under the mantle with the tip of the knife, and then you cut the posterior adductor muscle, and then you wrap around, twist the knife, and cut the lower muscle, flip that down, and then the only thing you have to do is go in and cut that muscle from the bottom shell. And there you go. No meat left in clam. We're going to check them all just to be safe. Here it is again. Between the valves, a little bit of wiggle with this hand, pull in with that hand, up and over, down and around. Break the shell open, cut the remnant of that muscle, and then slide down under there. And in this case, we'll squeeze the liquid out again. Another tip I can give you is that if you knock on a clam's door, that is, if you agitate the muscles and make them aware that there's a predator or something nearby, they'll tighten up those muscles and it'll be very difficult to get in. So you want to be very ginger with these things until you shuck them. Otherwise they can give you quite a hard time. Nice. So how does a clam, if it needs to open its shells in order to extend its foot to get back to filter feeding, how, like muscles only pull, right? Muscles only pull. It has two muscles in here that can only pull the shells together. So how does it open its shell? You ever wonder that? I'll tell you. This is the mechanism by which it opens its shells. This little piece of whatever it is, little piece of growth right here, it grows more on the inside than it does the outside. So it automatically wants to extend. So if it loosens up the two adductor muscles, it will naturally open because of this piece right here. There's another kind of cool thing about clams, and that is these teeth right here that mesh together just like so, perfectly, right? They are to keep the valves or shells from being pushed leewardly. A lot of things want to eat these. If they could grab a hold of it like a muscle and push this shell that way and this shell that way, they would easily be able to get into it. But those teeth, if the adductor muscles are tight, those teeth keep it from being able to be pushed leewardly and broken into. Pretty cool, huh?